I'm sorry, but that's just bad etiquette. Let's talk about wedding etiquette for guests. And the main thing that I want to talk about with this, and I hope that people don't get the wrong idea about what I mean, but what I notice is when people are in the celebratory mood, they tend to affect the people that day was meant to honor, and not always in a negative or in a positive way. So, for example, I'm just making, I didn't really plan on what I wanted to say for this, but for example, at a wedding recently, I just noticed that there was this giant wedding party, and I'm setting up for the reception, and it's a hot July day, and I'm witnessing everything while they're getting ready for the ceremony. They're talking out the game plan. It didn't really seem like they had much of a wedding rehearsal because that venue probably was booked out the day before, so they didn't meet up at the venue to do their rehearsal for the ceremony. So they were kind of getting it out of the way before the actual ceremony happened, which is fine because there's not a lot to do. You're really just talking about order and walking down the aisle, and that's about it. So there's not a whole lot to it. It is what it is. The problem is this bride in particular had a lot of alpha personalities in her bridal party, and they all didn't seem to like click the same. They had the maid of honor or matron of honor kind of telling everybody what's going to happen. The bride's completely withdrawn. She's just letting the matron of honor handle everything. And then you had another clique of girls who were clearly like lifelong childhood friends who've known her for 10 plus years. And then this matron of honor was somebody else who hasn't known the bride for very long, but is very close with her. And she's telling these other girls who might have thought that one of them would be in charge and the maid or matron of honor, and they just really didn't seem to like that. So there was a lot of like back talk in their own like translated way, how girls get when they talk like that. And it just seemed to be like people were more focused on their own feelings than it was about like what the actual event was about. Like, I get that you may not like the person that's telling you what to do, but she was appointed that position for a reason. Either she's closer with them or she's just better at handling shit. But for whatever reason, you're put into a position to have to listen to that person. And if you're not okay with that, then you probably shouldn't be a bridesmaid in the first place. Okay, so wedding etiquette is huge, and I don't think guests or wedding party members really understand how important it is for them to kind of fall into line for a little bit just so that they don't affect this big moment for the bride and groom. The next thing that I really want to talk about when it comes to wedding etiquette is I've seen it at weddings more in 2021 than I've ever seen in years past. And what that is guests walking up to the cake table and grabbing a cookie or a cake or a piece of cake or a cupcake or a donut before the cake has even been cut. And I'm sorry, but that's just bad etiquette, okay? You should not be touching the cake table, the dessert table, until the cake has been cut. And I don't know who we need to address. We need to send it to the Today Show, this video, to let them know that the world needs to take a step back. I get it. Not as many weddings happened in 2020 as we had originally planned, but some reason the pandemic happened and suddenly everybody just forgot that you don't touch the cake until the bride and groom come and cut the cake. It's just crazy. I've never seen so many weddings do this. And then The other thing that I've kind of seen since the pandemic has started to pull back a little bit in Nebraska anyway. I don't know what it's like where you're at, but the big thing that I'm noticing is for these weddings, this is the first time that a lot of people are consuming a lot of alcohol in a public setting, and it almost seems like they forgot to act or how to act in public or how to talk to people. So, like, before the pandemic, I had no problem with the requests I was getting. I mean, I had no problem. They had no problem if I'd play them or not play them. Now, suddenly they spent a year in the house watching everything on demand or listening to the songs they want when they want. And they expect you to almost cut the current song that you're playing and bring in the song that they want to hear instantly. And I'm sorry, but when there's a room of 200, 300, or even 400 people, there's going to be a bit of time before we get to your song request. And the other thing is if your song request is not that good, then you can't get upset when the DJ doesn't play it. That's just it. And then if the DJ says, I'll try, that's probably a sign that you're not going to hear that song. Or it just says that he's trying to build a list in his head of other songs to fit around that so he can get to your playlist. Because more than likely, most DJs, at least for me, most DJs aren't just going to play one-off songs. When I get a request for some country song, I'm not just going to go hip-hop, 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 country, hip-hop, okay? I'm going to go hip-hop, 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 maybe a slow song, maybe a slow country song, maybe a more upbeat, up-tempo country song, and then we'll go to your request with the country beat. But the people that are dancing to the hip-hop music won't necessarily, not always the case, but probably won't get down as much to the country because they're out there getting it, they're getting the groove on, and then suddenly you take a hard turn to the left and you hit them with some country. Now, luckily for rap music, Old Town Road has made that leap to cross the line between country and rap. Also, The Get Up is one of those that like crossed the line between the two and made it easier for us to transition. But I'm not going to lie, those songs have kind of gotten played out at weddings, and they're not hitting as great as they did 1 or 2 years ago. So we've kind of pulled back a little bit on, I'm trying to think what other songs might fall into that. But as far as country rap goes, yeah, I mean, Old Town Road is kind of faded out a little bit, and so is The Get Up. So, if you make a request at a wedding, just have in mind that we're not just trying to please one person. If it's really important to you that we play your song request, make it more meaningful. I'm sorry, but Footloose is more likely to get played than some song by Eminem, especially because Eminem likes to drop some F-bombs and B words and just things like that. So, I remember one time a mom got upset with me because her kid wanted to listen to Colt 45, and I was like, right now, it's like 8:30. Right now, there's no way I can play Colt 45. Have you listened to that song? Do you know what it is? Your kid is 10 years old, and he's telling his mom to tell the DJ to play Colt 45. And that's just one. I'm immediately judging this mother for telling me to play Colt 45 because where has the parenting failed? I mean, I got Colt 45 and 2 zigzags, baby. That's all you need. Like, do you know what zigzags are used for? Do you know what Colt 45 is? I could go on and on. That's like the PG part of the song. It goes really, really raunchy after that. So I want to bring it back to the main point. Guest etiquette. Your etiquette at a wedding as a guest is important. And it does impact one. It impacts the way the wedding party, the way the bride and groom remember their day, because they don't want to think of their wedding day and be like, man, Travis was a real douchebag. Don't be that guy. Also, don't be that guest that annoys the vendors. Don't come up to the DJ unless you're the mom, or something. The VIPs have a little bit different stance, okay? They can go up to the DJ and be like, we want to take a big group picture. Can you ask for all of the bride's family and cousins to come up for a group picture? Because we don't know when we'll have everybody in the room for another moment like this. Totally respect that. We'll do that. That's no problem. But if you're the aunt and you requested a song, don't just come up to be like, yeah, I'm Steve's brother, the father of the bride, or I'm Steve's sister. If you're his aunt, if you're the bride's aunt, then anyway, don't go up to the DJ and say, I'm the bride's aunt and the bride's father wants to hear blah, blah, blah. I mean, first of all, most of the time I know who the bride is pretty well. I've already talked to the parents of both sides quite a bit, and I have a good relationship with them. And chances are, when you come up to me and you say, the bride wants to hear this, or the bride's dad wants to hear this, I'm watching to see if that bride came out for that song, if I did play it. Or I'm watching the entire room. If you just come to me from the table and the bride's father is over here and you're seated over there and I see you come from this way, I know for a fact that you just lied to me. And if you do that, what are the chances that I want to play that? You better tell me a banger. Or else I'm not throwing it on. I'm sorry. And then don't go to the bride's father, your brother, and say, well, why isn't the DJ playing my song? Don't have him come talk to me, because he's going to be like, I got yelled at, so I need to come talk to you. Guest etiquette. Where did it go? Let's fix it for the rest of 2021, guys.